Welcome back, friends, to another episode of True Crime Metrix. What are we doing tonight? We're looking at the first cross-examination of Katherine Magbanua, aka Katie, by Assistant State Prosecutor, the Queen of the South, Georgia Cappleman. She's going to be squeezing Katherine Magbanua like a wet sponge, right? She's coming in with some fast-paced questions, Georgia, tonight. I think her tactic, this is the first time she's meeting Katie, at least that we see. And Georgia's tactics are brutal. It's take no prisoners time, or do take a prisoner, and her name is Katherine Magbanua. She just rolls over. We went through Katie's direct examination with her attorney, Tara Kawas. Pretty timid, two ladies having a chat, basically, in front of the jury. You have horrible taste in men, right, Miss Magbanua? Anyway, a little bit of admin before we get started, guys. Just want to put a big True Crime Metrix thank you out to everybody who made a donation on our 10-year special of the Dan Markel murder. Hang on, just sharing the screen here. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, I had a little look at this website, Justice for Dan, and I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced it's legitimate, The social network icons, most of them don't work. The email address is a Gmail, and there's just not that much content on here. It's all copy and pasted from other resources, and to my eye, it looks like it and up here, well, you can't see the URL, but it doesn't have a proper URL. It just says blank page. So it's not very professionally done, And in a previous life, I was a web developer, so I should know. But it might just be, So basically, it takes a couple of days for YouTube to tell me how much money was raised for Justice for Dan. It's still working away that, and I'm going to get the final count hopefully tomorrow morning of the donations that we received. So I'll let you all know the amount that we raised, and then I'm going to email these guys and say, can you verify, or can I verify that you're a legitimate Justice for Dan foundation and not just some whack job with a WordPress site? Okay. But I did go here to sign the petition. And that after you sign the petition, you go through to this site, which does look more reputable. You can see some donations coming in there, but I'll speak to them and I'll be sure to let you guys all know what's happening with the money. Okay, because we raised some, isn't that a nice thing in this little community, guys? We raised a bit of money, not much, but it was more than I thought. Like I said, I'll let you all know how much we raised, and then I'll contact these guys and work out how we go about it from there. Just don't want to send, because people create sites all the time, don't they? For like, oh yeah, we're raising money for this cause, and then they just keep it all for themselves. And I don't want to send our hard-earned cash to someone like that who's profiting off Dan Markel's murder. We want to be helping the Markels, helping Justice for Dan, and helping, Georgia Cappleman. Speaking of her, speaking of which, let's get to it, guys. All the way back to 2019. Welcome, everybody in the chat. Uh-oh. We have to do some audio. We have to reshare that screen. Hang on, let me refresh this now. I'm just going to share it again. We don't want any audio problems.
Member of the Latin Kings. No.
Everybody be seated, please. May I proceed, Ms. Cappleman?
Ms. Magbanua, you testified about Mr. Rivera's reputation in the community for violence. Are you aware of Mr. Garcia's reputation in the community for violence?
Overruled.
As far as, I mean,
Remember, we've got two defense tables in this trial, guys. Sigfredo, that was Sigfredo's Garcia, Mr. Hand Grenade. Sigfredo Garcia's lawyer, Mr. Hand Grenade, objecting there on the first question. Can you believe it? Overruled. Like everything with this judge. Overruled. He should just write it down and hold up a little sign.
He's a violent guy too, right?
in the past,
Sustained.
And I'm sure in the present too. Didn't he take someone's eye out in prison recently or something? You know.
Does he also have a reputation in the community for violence?
when he was younger, yes, he used to get in trouble.
But he wouldn't do anything for Charlie Adelson, right?
No,
Because he hated Charlie Adelson.
he hated him.
But he would do anything for you, wouldn't he?
No, because sometimes I ask him simple tasks and he can't even do that.
He loved you, didn't he?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, you know, he comes in and I'm saying, Sigfredo, how many times have I told you to not leave your plate in the sink? And, you know, the next day he leaves his plate in the sink. Sometimes I say to him, Sigfredo, can you please wipe the cocaine off your shirt before you pick up the baby? Okay? He can't even do that.
I believe so.
He was desperate to get you back. We've heard a lot of evidence about that, haven't we?
Yes, ma'am.
What about for $100,000? Would he do things for that?
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, he wouldn't do anything for $100,000. He wouldn't clean his plate. He wouldn't brush the cocaine off his shirt fronts. I offered him $100,000 and he said, no way.
Have you seen the deep sea fishing thread states 183?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you already testify on cross with Mr. Zanganay that, watch your head, please, that you, after reviewing this text, do not believe that Mr. Garcia was actually inviting Mr. Adelson to go deep sea fishing?
Just to comment on Kerry Louise's question here. What do we think Donna will wear to court? Yeah, there's been some speculation on this, right? Whether she's going to be super cool, high society, Valentino Couture, or come in, you know, sackcloth and ashes like a mad old lady that's mentally ill because she's been forced to be in jail. And, you know, I think it's going to be a middle ground. You know, I don't think she's going to come in like Cool Hand Luke, totally on her game, representing as a very competent, aware, wealthy person. That's not likable. But, you know, she's just not able to fully commit to Mad Cuckoo Lady. So, yeah, it's going to be somewhere in between. I mean, we should be taking bets on this, right? Someone contact bookmakers and give them the inside scoop, because there's money to be made here, guys.
You mean Charlie inviting, Mr. Garcia inviting him? No, I believe not.
So that was a joke?
I would took it as a joke. I mean, from reading it,
All right.
it's being sarcastic.
Well, I'm not just reading it.
Yeah, I would take it as a joke as well. Garcia wants to take me deep sea fishing. I mean, can you imagine those two? They hire a boat, you know, go and catch some marlin together, and then, you know, maybe have a light supper on the deck. A little bit of Prosecco.
You were involved in the text, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so was it a joke or not?
To me, yes, it was a joke.
Okay, so you were worried about Mr. Garcia contacting Mr. Adelson,
Yes, ma'am.
but you don't have any knowledge whether he did or that he actually did.
No.
Okay. Why are your lawyers trying to suggest that Mr. Garcia contacted Mr. Adelson?
Why are they trying to suggest that he contacted him?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did Mr. Garcia even know that Charlie Adelson was the one paying for this murder?
Just repeat that question again.
Did Mr. Garcia even know that Mr. Adelson was the one behind this whole thing?
What time?
Ever?
I believe not.
Okay, because you didn't tell him who it was, did you?
I didn't know who it was.
Did everyone hear Mentor Lawyer's video with the new evidence that he purchased for quite a bit of money and read out to us the other day? There was a text from Donna to Wendy after the conviction of Charlie, but before Donna tried to flee to Vietnam, when, you know, Donna was trying to get Wendy to come over to discuss things, and Wendy was like, no, I'm not discussing anything, go through our lawyers, I have to take care of the boys. And Donna sent a text to her, like, you know, manipulation, saying, oh, you can just bury me in the dress that I bought for Ben's bar mitzvah. You know, oh, such a drama queen, Donna.
You told him it was Wendy, didn't you?
No.
You watched the testimony of Luis Rivera, didn't you?
Yes.
And you testified that he is a gang member, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
That he is a violent person, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Member of the Latin Kings and a crown or head of that organization, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You testified that you know he has a tattoo, a large tattoo on his stomach, and that you know about how many phones he has. Remember that?
Well, he said that he had 2 phones.
Okay. And that you know about some of his criminal activities. You testified about certain things he engages in.
With Rivera, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. But you also said you don't know him very well
When did I say that?
on direct examination.
I mean, I know of him. I mean, he's been around us before. Like
Yeah, I mean, he's the best friend of your child's father, correct?
I would guess so.
They've known each other since
Since
childhood.
they were young, yes.
So you've known Mr. Rivera as long as you've known Mr. Garcia.
No,
When did you meet Mr. Rivera?
years later.
Okay. Did you hear Mr. Rivera get asked about his opportunities to review the evidence in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've had those same opportunities, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am.
How much time have you spent reviewing the evidence in this case?
Well, just probably the last month or 2 because we didn't have a lot of the evidence.
Okay, so
You see, you can tell there's no air in Georgia's questions, right? There's no pause. She's got a clear roadmap here. She knows where to go. She knows every answer that Katie's got before she asks the question, and she knows the next 5 or 6 questions after that. She's prepared. Georgia is very prepared for this witness.
before that, you weren't aware of any of the facts of the case.
I was aware of some of the facts of the case.
And it's your testimony that, did your lawyers tell you they didn't have anything until last month?
No, we only had a couple of the things. Like there's certain things that you guys just showed us
Okay.
during this trial right now.
How much time have you spent reviewing the evidence in this case?
How much time? Not
Yeah.
a lot.
How much?
I can't give you a certain
A
time.
couple hours?
Maybe.
Okay.
A couple of hours reviewing the evidence in your own murder trial. Man, you could not get me out of that law library. You know, I'd be reading every book, going through case law, citing statutes, you know. A couple of hours. What, because you're so busy with other things in prison? What are you doing? Playing a Kaplunk championship?
You can read, can't you, Ms.
Yes,
Magbanua?
ma'am.
You're an educated person, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
College graduate?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How far did Mr. Garcia?
College graduate, but on her meet an inmate dating profile, or whatever it is, it says education level high school.
Get in school?
He has his GED, but he has certifications as well.
All right. Certifications in
Masonry.
Okay.
Heavy equipment.
Heavy
Equipment
you said?
operation.
All right. And did you have
Heavy equipment operation while high on coke and drunk at work. It's always good, isn't it? You know, always good, always good. Give him the big tractor. Give him the bulldozer. Yeah.
a lot of control over Mr. Garcia? I mean, were you the
Yes.
one that wore the pants in that relationship when y'all were together?
I mean, he listened to certain things, but there's a lot of things that he just wouldn't listen to as well.
Okay. And when he was working, his paychecks went directly into your account. Is that right?
In what job?
Whenever he was working, you tell me?
Yeah, he'd give me a portion of his paycheck.
A portion or the whole thing?
Sometimes a portion, sometimes the whole thing. It depends. It's
All right.
not a set amount.
Okay. At the time frame that we looked at for purposes of this investigation, his whole paycheck was going into your account. Would you agree with that?
Objection, Judge. Overruled.
Would you agree with that?
His whole paycheck when he was working in Rapid Capital?
Yes.
I don't believe he was giving me his whole paycheck.
Okay. In the time frame leading up to the homicide that we're here about,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia was living with this.
Yeah, Carrie B, we all know people like that. It's like, then kill me now. Go into the ham and take the carving knife and stab me here. Please, now, it would hurt me less than what you just said.
Exotic dancer who was known by the name of Shrimp, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he was not steadily employed at that time,
No,
correct?
ma'am.
And in fact, he had no vehicle at that time.
I believe he did have a vehicle.
Okay, what vehicle did he have?
I don't know because he's always changing up his cars.
Okay. And rarely had any money during that time frame. Would you agree with that?
When he was living with her,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if he had a steady income or something, but he did have money.
He was living off of her. Would you agree with that, or you don't
No.
know? You don't agree with
I
that?
wouldn't know.
He took off work to come to Tallahassee in June of 2014, and that was at the Coastal Masonry. Did you know about that he had taken off work during those days?
I didn't even know he was working at that time.
And you didn't take him to the rental car place?
No, ma'am.
Why do your phone records put you there that time frame?
It was around other businesses. I don't recall what I did that day.
You don't recall what you did that day, but you know you didn't go to that rental car place, right?
Yeah, it was around other businesses near the airport where all the rental car companies are, you know. I went to check the park and ride for Terminal 2.
Yeah, no.
That you do remember.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had fled to the Philippines as your attorney suggested you could have still been arrested for this murder, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, and your fleeing could have been used against you as consciousness of guilt, right?
But why would I leave?
I don't know. That's my point. You wouldn't.
I
You admitted
didn't.
you lied on your tax returns, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you admitted you lied to the Department of Children and Families, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what the statute of limitations is on those crimes?
No, ma'am.
Your attorney didn't advise you that it would be okay to admit those crimes because the statute of limitations had run?
It was the truth, ma'am. She was asking me a question.
Okay. So you don't know about that?
No,
As
ma'am.
far as you know, you could be charged with that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So
I love it when a murder suspect is on trial in the witness stand and they say, well, I took the oath. So then it's true because I had to answer the question under oath. It's like, yeah, but that's what you would say. Yeah, they treat it like it's almost this magical, like it's an impossibility for them to lie if they took the oath. Well, it was the truth. I was under oath. I took the oath.
you've admitted that you had a sexual relationship with both Sigfredo Garcia and Charlie Adelson around the same time frame.
Yes, ma'am.
And they knew about each other, according to your direct examination.
Yes, ma'am.
Meaning they knew each other existed, or they actually knew that you were sleeping with both of them at the same time?
No, they knew each other existed.
Okay.
Yes.
So they didn't know that each one didn't know you were sleeping with the other one?
No, ma'am.
All right, so you were.
California Amy asks, will Tara testify to who paid for Katie's defense? Well, she's certainly on the witness list, and what other reason could there be for Donna's trial? It seems pretty much like that would be the only relevant thing of probative value to ask Tara Kawas, Katie's lawyer, about for Donna's prosecution. But if that were the case, why wouldn't she have been called for Charlie's trial? Any ideas? Please share your ideas in the chat, guys. Why are we seeing Tara Kawas on the witness list for Donna Adelson's trial? You know, it's not confirmed that she's actually going to be there, I don't think, but the state has shown an interest in having her there. So I would say it would be to ask her if she and Christopher DeCoste were paid by the Adelsons for Katherine Magbanua's murder trial, because that'd be a big one, wouldn't it? That'd be a big one.
You were lying to them about that.
I mean, I didn't think that I had to tell either one that I was sleeping with the other.
Hi, Felicia. Good to see you.
Okay. And that's also known as lying. Would you agree?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay. You understand that today you're sworn to tell the whole truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you also lied to Charlie Adelson about, I think, certain things that were happening around the time of that bump and that wire.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You lied to him when you told him that you had called the number on the paper, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were actually trying to get Mr. Garcia to call that number, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you tell Mr. Garcia that you were trying to get him to call the number for Mr. Adelson?
No, ma'am.
All right. And you testified on direct that the reason you went to Mr. Garcia for assistance is not because he had something to do with this murder, but because he's your child's father and that's who you go to when you have a problem, right?
Well, at that specific time, yes.
All right. And that's why you solicited him to commit this murder, right?
No, ma'am.
And he's the person you go to when you have a problem.
You would insinuate that.
Person you go to when you have a problem.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't ask Mr. Garcia to help this lady get her kids back in Tallahassee?
No, ma'am.
You didn't solicit him to commit a murder of Dan Markel?
No, ma'am.
Do you know who Tuto is?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Tuto?
Secreto Garcia.
And who is Tato?
Luis Rivera.
And when Charlie Adelson told you that the person that approached his mother said these names, you didn't tell him that you knew exactly who those people were, did you?
Didn't tell whom?
Charlie Adelson.
That I didn't tell him who Tuto was? He didn't mention Tuto's.
Did she just say whom? I didn't tell whom. Fancy.
name until later on.
He mentioned Tuto's name on those wire calls, didn't he?
Yeah, on the phone calls.
And he mentioned Tato's name on the wire calls.
But that was later on.
Okay, whenever it was.
Yeah.
He mentioned those names to you, and you didn't say, oh, I know exactly who that is. That's my baby daddy and his best friend.
But he knows Tuto's name. So
Okay, well, he didn't act like he knew it on the wire, did he?
Yes.
He did act like he
No,
knew
he
it
didn't.
was?
He
Oh.
acted like that's why it was kind of weird when he kept saying like taco or whatever. He
Yeah.
knows Tuto's name.
Did he know Tato's name?
No.
Okay, so he'd never met Tato to your
No.
knowledge. All right, and so he knew Tuto's name. Why didn't you say, Tuto, you know who Tuto is? Tuto's my baby daddy.
I just didn't say. I just told you that it sounded weird that he's saying a different name when he knows Tuto's name.
Yeah, it sounded weird. So my question is, why didn't you say, what are you talking about? You know who Tuto is.
I didn't ask.
An answer overruled.
What's your answer, man?
I just didn't ask.
Okay, because you don't ask questions. I mean, haven't we pretty much established that? You
Yes.
didn't ask any questions when this bump went down about what's going on? Why am I getting involved in this? Why would I help you try to figure out who?
One question at a time.
When Charlie Adelson told you that his mother had said your name,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, when was that? When did he tell you?
See, the time frame, I'm getting confused because I don't know if it was in a phone call or when he met with me in Dolce Vita.
Okay. So,
Because he was saying ex-girlfriend before, and then all of a sudden he's saying my name.
yeah, so at first he just knew ex-girlfriend. He didn't know for sure it was you.
Yes, ma'am.
But you're the one he called, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
he has a lot of ex-girlfriends, as y'all discussed on the calls.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know why it is that he chose you out of all the 87 ex-girlfriends to call?
He's just exaggerating about the 87 girlfriends. I don't know why he called me.
All right, well, how many
I was the-
ex-girlfriends does he have?
I was the only last ex-girlfriend, like he was stating, to his knowledge.
But they didn't say last ex-girlfriend.
No, but I'm saying he said ex-girlfriend. I was his last ex-girlfriend.
Okay. Why did you help Charlie investigate who this person was that approached his mother?
Mary Bartlett asks, does she, meaning Katherine Magbanua, have another chance to give up info for freedom? Well, they're not going to cut any deal with her while they're still knocking down these dominoes in prosecution. You know, that would undermine her credibility to the jury in any future prosecution. So they didn't cut a deal on Charlie's because Donna's coming up. They're not going to cut a deal with her on Donna's trial because Wendy's coming up. So she's basically doing this on faith alone, officially. You know, I can't see her getting much off. They might take away the life sentence and give her the possibility of parole after 35 years, which would put her at about 75 years old when she might be released. They're not just going to let her out, I don't think. But if she's instrumental, if she assists well with the prosecutions, you know, who knows? It'll be up to George's boss.
I can't tell you why, like I did. I mean, he's asked me weird stuff before, but somebody mentioned my name, and that's what piqued my interest. I was like, why would somebody approach your mother saying my name? And then I didn't know about Tuto's name until later on.
But even before that, you were willing to help him with this problem, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it your testimony to this jury that you don't recall any of the conversation that occurred between you and Charlie Adelson at Dolce Vita?
What's 87, Bob?
Not that I didn't remember. I know he was saying different scenarios. Somebody bumped into his mom, and he was saying different scenarios. But like I said, he
What
goes off
scenarios?
that it could be cops, or it could be somebody harassing his family for money or extorting his family for money.
And
But
why would it be the cops?
I don't know, because he's always talking about the cops.
Okay, but you didn't ask him why the cops would be running an undercover operation on his mother?
No, ma'am.
And you don't remember him reading to you a phone number?
I know, right? Teresa, luck of the Irish. Katie was very stupid not to take the deal the first time. Very silly woman. I know. They said to her, listen, we'll give you complete immunity if you tell us everything you know. Sign this and tell us everything you know, and we'll give you complete immunity from prosecution, meaning you walk out of here today. That was put on the table for her the first trial, and then she had a mistrial and was offered that again and still said no. That is crazy. Unbelievable. That is too big of a risk to take.
Number from a piece of paper?
No, ma'am.
Have
He
you
didn't show me a paper. He might have given me a number, like giving me a number, but he didn't show me any paper.
Okay, but you've seen the video, correct?
Of the Dolce Vita?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And he pulled out a piece of paper clearly on that video, right?
No, ma'am.
He did not.
He did not show me any
All
paper.
right. Is that you and Charlie on the video? I know you can only see your legs, but is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so he told you different scenarios. It could be the cops, or it could be, what else?
Somebody extorting money from his family.
And why would somebody be extorting money from his family?
I don't know. He's had dealings with other people before, like,
But to extort, you have to have some leverage on the person, right? You have to have something on them.
I guess.
And what was the thing that this person might have on Mr. Adelson?
He didn't, I mean, he might have said something, but like I said, he just goes on and on about stuff.
And he told you to find out who this was that contacted his mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall him telling you that this person, if it's not the cops, may need to be killed?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember that he said, well, let me ask it this way. You talked about on direct that you just kind of tuned him out during this conversation. Is that accurate?
Certain conversations, yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you can tell the jury that he definitely did not say that the person may need to be killed.
Yes, because I'd remember something like that.
Oh, you would have tuned back in for that?
I would just remember him saying, like, why would you say something like that?
What else can you tell the jury specifically about that conversation?
I don't remember much about that conversation. Like I said,
Okay,
that was
well,
years ago.
You don't remember much? That's still good enough for us. Tell us what you do remember.
That he was saying the same thing, that he thought, you know, like it could be the cops or somebody extorting money from his family.
That's it?
That's all I can recall.
Did he tell you the phone number of the person that he
I-
wanted you to call?
I don't know if he told me the phone number there or at a later time.
Okay, but at some
don't
point you
remember.
got that phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you remember Charlie Adelson at that Dolce meeting telling you that you should call the number and tell the person that he is, or you are willing to help out the person, but it was a one-time deal and it was just for charity?
Objection, hearsay, facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
Did that occur?
I only remember that because a portion of the tape where you had some transcript, and I might have read that part, but I don't remember that from that day.
Okay, and so if he was gonna keep this person quiet through the guise of an act of charity, that'd be kind of similar to how he kept you quiet, right?
No,
I
ma'am.
mean, he gave you a lot of gifts, didn't he?
Which gifts?
Well, he gave you a paid for trip to Santo Domingo for you and Mr. Garcia. Is that true?
No, that's actually for my children and I visiting his parents, his mom, my mother-in-law.
Did Charlie pay for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he call in prescriptions for you, Mr. Adelson?
Did he call in prescriptions for
Yes,
me?
ma'am.
Yes, he has before.
Did he let you drive his Ferrari?
No.
Doesn't she just have the worst tell in the world? You know, you ask her, did he call in prescriptions for you? And she has this incredulous look and says, did he call in prescriptions for me? Yes, ma'am. I quite like watching her, though. She's got a expressive face. It's just all the wrong ones.
Did he pay for your Mazda repair?
Not that I can recall. I'm pretty sure I paid for my Mazda repairs.
Okay. Did he pay for your insurance?
For what?
Insurance?
I didn't have insurance through him.
Freaking Mazda repairs, you know. Dan Markel is dead. Never coming back. And she's talking about friggin' Mazda repair.
So no to insurance, no to Mazda repair, and no to Ferrari?
Yeah, no, I never drove his Ferrari.
Okay. Did he pay for a meal service for you?
Yes, I remember that.
Did he pay your credit card bill one time when you?
A meal service? Does anyone know the details of what that meal service was? Is it like a paella chef? You know, what is the meal service thing about? a home caterer that comes to your house and serves beef Wellington and a bunch of desserts, different desserts, all custom made desserts? What occasion was it that Katie needed a meal service, and where was it held? Does anyone have the details of that?
Make your credit card bill.
Not that I can recall.
Did he ever give you cash?
Not that I can recall.
On May 20th, 2015, do you recall sending a text to Mr. Adelson asking him for money?
I don't remember that.
Okay, and do you remember Mr. Adelson giving you $1,400 6 days later?
I don't remember that.
Is that something you would remember?
Yes, if you gave me that amount of money.
But your testimony is you don't have any recollection of him ever giving you any cash.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And you never saw any cash in his place when you were over there.
No, I don't remember that.
Did he pay for a cruise for you and your mom?
No.
Did he?
Someone just said, who was that? Kerry B says, if she had told the truth, all these other trials would have been much quicker, shaving years of grief and pain off the family being dragged through all this litigation. Sure. But how do I feel about that? Well, I don't know if there's much sense in saying, it's hypothetical. It is what it is now, right? We've had a lot of trials. And yes, it's sad that the family have had to go through this extended, lengthy period of anguish for a decade plus and counting. But on the plus side, thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. I don't know if that's overstating it or not, but an enormous amount of people, like all of us, right, have been studying this case, not only for entertainment, but I believe that it's helped all of us become better people in a way. Identify traits of behavior in the people around us and within ourselves, if we're really honest, sometimes. And made us more conscious people about what's important in life, things that matter. So we could wish that Katie had come clean and saved the Markels all those years of anguish. But I hope the Markels know that their years of anguish are not entirely put to waste. The people that have been close to this case, studying it for all this time, reflecting on it, rewatching it, sharing ideas, has been a positive movement. So if anything good has come out of the horrible, brutal murder of Professor Markel, I'd say there are a few things. Aside from the brilliant entertainment factor, it's much deeper than that. That's why it's so absorbing. So do I wish she'd have come clean? Well, I don't know if there's any point in wishing that. She didn't, and we are where we are, and let's make the most of it.
You pay for breast.
Remember to leave a like on the video, guys. We need to get those likes rolling in, because when we get likes on the live stream while it's happening, the stream is pushed out to more people. So take a minute, go and click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got loads of content, Adelson content and other content coming out in the run-up to Donna Adelson's trial on September 17th, I think, or 19th, which is less than 2 months away, guys. So subscribe to the channel, share, leave a comment, and click like.
Augmentation for you?
No.
Did he pay for teeth whitening for you or your family?
No. I pay for my teeth whitening.
Did he offer to let you use his boat?
He's offered, yes, but I never took it.
What about his limousines?
I paid for the limousine service.
He owns a limo, right?
I didn't know if he owned the limo. I paid the driver for like hourly
Okay, you tipped the driver or you paid hourly for the service?
for the service.
And would any of those things have come out of your account? Either of your bank accounts?
I mean, I had the cash for it.
So you paid for all the things that we just talked about in cash?
Hi, Kurt. Good to see you, man.
I don't remember. I don't recall if I made some with my credit card, made some with my, paid some with cash.
What about the Mazda repair? Do you recall whether you paid for that with cash or credit card?
I think I paid with a credit card.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
And how much cash did you typically have on hand?
People are saying that this meal service is like a delivery, prepared food delivered, like a takeaway. I mean, or like HelloFresh. No, I think it's something a bit more grand than that, isn't it? Like where a catered event, like a chef comes to your home with pots and pans and makes a fancy meal for you to enjoy. That sounds. I mean, why would they mention HelloFresh? That did he buy you? Did he allow you to order a pizza with his credit card? I mean, why would they mention that? That seems a little low. Hey, Kurt, thanks so much for the super sticker. Super stickers, guys, on the channel. There's super sticker, super like, super thanks on post watch. And there's also a link to buymeacoffee.com in the description for this video, where we now have memberships on buymeacoffee.com as well as on the YouTubes. So all great ways to support the channel. Or if you can't do that, remember to leave a like on the video. Thank you, guys.
It depends, like whatever amount that I make in the club and like I start saving up, then I put it away. So I can have between $2,000-$3,000 on me,
When you say put it away, what do you mean?
like put it in my bank.
Okay.
Like I'll save it up in my house and then I'll put it away when I get a chance to go to the bank.
Okay. But all these things that you have paid for, like, let's just take the breast augmentation, for example. You
Yes,
indicate
ma'am.
you paid for that.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you're putting your cash in the bank, there's no cash withdrawal to correspond to you paying cash for that breast
But I wouldn't
augmentation.
I'm not going to deposit money that I'm going to use already. I already saved up that money.
Yeah, no, the cash that I was saving up for my boob job, while I was still saving up, I was using the cash to stuff my bra, which is where I would store the cash. So it was like, I had padding while I was still saving up. They were a bit uneven as I was saving. Sometimes there'd be a few extra hundreds in the left boob. Sometimes there'd be a few extra hundreds in the right boob. But eventually, when I paid cash, I just emptied my bra into the plastic surgeon's office and I got my boob job.
Okay, so you would save the money separately, not deposit it.
Well, I
and
knew,
then pay
yeah,
cash.
because I already had my consultation in the beginning of that year, the beginning of 2014. So I was already saving up
Okay,
so that when I get them. Go ahead.
And those consultations are funny, where they take like a blue magic marker and draw all over her chest. That tickles.
You were saving up for the breast augmentation.
Yeah.
But
I
you
already had
needed Charlie Adelson to put you on the payroll so that you could get insurance for your kids.
I was saving because I've always wanted my breast augmentation.
Teresa, absolutely, it's helped keep Dan's memory alive. It's all part of his legacy. So we can be happy or sad that the case has gone on so long. And I'm sure that the Markels would have preferred for it to be done, and everybody that's culpable is in jail serving a life sentence, and they could have spent this time having an involved relationship with their grandsons. But I also hope that they know that, good things have come out of the case being drawn on for so long as well. We've all grown as people watching this trial. We've learned about ourselves, we've learned about others, and you know, it is what it is, right?
Okay. And the insurance for my kids is because my son had a disability, so I had to do a bunch of therapies for my son.
Okay. And you heard that Wendy Adelson testified that she's never known her brother to give any gifts to any ex-girlfriends.
Hi, Rabbit. Good to see you. You're late. How can you be late? Rabbits are so quick, you know.
Did you hear that?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay. Well, what makes you so special that Charlie Adelson wanted to give you all these things after the end of your relationship?
All these things, like you make it seem like he's giving me all of this stuff out of the blue.
Yeah, I do make it seem like that. Why is he giving you all this stuff?
I don't know.
Oh, I love those. I love those Georgia Cappleman nuances. Yeah, I do make it seem like that.
Give you all these things after the end of your relationship.
All these things, like you make it seem like he's giving me all of this stuff out of the blue.
Yeah, I do make it seem like that. Why is he giving you all this stuff?
I don't know.
Why did he put you on the payroll? Is that as a favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Not as payment for murder?
No, ma'am.
Not to keep you happy?
Why wouldn't he just pay me the cash? Why would I have to get a check from somewhere?
I'm going to ask the questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So he put you on the payroll 2 months after the homicide, yes?
2 months after the homicide, I will started. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And
Hey, thanks so much, Ali D, who just bought us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. Link in the description, guys. Great way to support the channel and help us grow, which we are doing rapidly, right? I mean, this is a fast-growing channel, I think. You know, I think even big players, you know, we're coming up to meet the number of subscribers as other channels that are covering the case, channels that I really respect and have been following for ages. So quick growing channel, guys. Maybe we're going to just do this full time. And some exciting developments happened with my travel plans. I think there might be a 48% chance that I'll make it to Tallahassee by September to cover the case from Leon County Courthouse, which would be amazing. But if that fails, I think there'll definitely be enough time for me to sort things out for Wendy's trial. So it is on the cards. I want to be walking up those steps. I want to be seeing Georgia Cappleman in the flesh. That would be like a strange dream. A fantastic, wonderful dream, but it's real.
And were you involved in a sexual relationship with Mr. Adelson at that time?
I'm not 100% sure. Like at the time frame, I believe so.
Okay, so you were still sleeping with him after the homicide.
I believe so.
And was there an actual job opening at the Adelson?
That's a contradiction to how Charlie told it in his trial, isn't it? They slept together one time, months after the homicide, he said, I believe.
Institute that you filled with this position?
No, ma'am.
All right, so it's a position that he created for you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you heard testimony from the employees that work there that they've never heard of anybody working remotely before in the history of that office. Why did Mr. Adelson create a position?
Absolutely, Teresa. You think we're going to miss that? We're all over that. You know, we're going to be, I'm pretty sure that we're just going to be streaming live while it's going on instead of streaming bits at the end of the day, but we'll be doing the whole thing. And, you know, like I said, there's a 48% chance we'll be streaming it from Tallahassee, baby.
For you.
Well, I asked him for a favor if he can do that.
Okay. job description did you have when you worked for Mr. Adelson?
I said I was just his like personal assistant. I wasn't going to the office
Okay.
for that.
Why did you on the wire talk about going to the office on the weekends?
Because he did want me to go to in the office to clean up a bit, but I never did it.
Wasn't it a joke between you and Mr. Adelson about this job that you were performing for him?
I guess.
You didn't do anything on the laptop in reference to his work?
On the laptop?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Matt Teomina says Donna has a text to Wendy saying Charlie has been protecting you for years. Ouch. Yeah, I saw that on Mentor Lawyer's channel where Donna says Charlie has been protecting you for years and now you're not guilty? Question mark, exclamation mark, you know. Rough, ouch. Yeah, definitely ouch for everybody.
Like sign into the Dentrix?
Yeah.
I believe I've done it before.
How many
Yes.
times did you do that?
I don't recall.
And what type of work did you do when you logged into Metrix?
Well, I was just looking at the patients, like the scheduling.
Okay. And did you schedule any patients?
No, I didn't schedule anything.
Are there any
He would-
patients we could call that could verify that they've ever had any contact with you?
Not that I can recall, no.
Did you ever go to the office on the weekends for any purpose?
I believe I have, like probably, but not often, like once or twice
All
only.
right. And what was the purpose of that?
He
Is
wanted
it-
me to clean up in the office.
Oh, you
I
went
probably just stopped by at the office. Don't quite recall what I did. It's been a couple of years,
All right.
but I have stopped at the office before.
Okay. Let's
weekend.
talk about the nightclub employment that you
Yes, ma'am.
talked about. You testified that you were in fact employed at a nightclub around the time of the homicide. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you said that you make up to $1,500 a night at the nightclub.
Had a good day, a
All right.
good
And
night.
at what nightclub was that?
That was at Fate.
All right. And Fate's the place that wrote you the checks that bounced?
Yes, ma'am.
And on those checks that bounced, the amount was, I can't remember exactly, but maybe $1,200 or $1,700 for a month, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that was tips for a whole month?
Teresa, no, I live in Portugal. I thought that was common knowledge on this channel. Yeah, I'm English, but I live in Portugal, and I'm coming to Tallahassee, one way or another.
No, it's the reason why they gave us those checks and the reason why it bounced, because a lot of us girls were complaining about it's supposed to be the way that like the owner or the whatever accountant guy that did it, he wanted to do just a percentage. So if like they swipe their card, it's a percentage of that is supposed to be our tips. Anything that's cash that the patrons, pay for is like goes straight to our pocket.
Okay.
So it's that
So
that
it was
was for
credit
like
card
a credit
tips.
card, yeah, like a credit card percentage.
Thanks so much, Mary Bartlett, for the super sticker. Very much appreciated, Mary.
All right. And so your credit card tips for the month were whatever that amount was
Yes,
that was
ma'am.
on that check. All right. And that's what bounced.
Yes, ma'am. Twice,
Right,
I
and-
believe.
Did you quit Club Fate because of the bouncing checks?
Yes, ma'am. And they were withholding some of our like money.
All right. How many times in your career as a bottle girl did you make $1,500 in one night?
How many times?
Yeah.
I can't recall.
More than 5?
Yes,
More than 10?
I can't give you like a specific number.
Would you agree with Ms. Mascara's testimony that an average night at the clubs was $100 to $200?
Objection
That's
to the
not
statement of the facts. It's not-
Overruled.
Would you agree with that?
No, ma'am.
Would you agree with Ms. Mascara's testimony that a good night at the club was $400 to $500 a night?
A good night? That's a good night to her.
Okay.
But
that
she was
wasn't a good
working
night.
in Hollywood Live with me. Fate was a higher scale club.
Okay.
And I was also doing bartending as well. She wasn't bartending at those places.
All right. And did the
I love it when the manager of Club Fate is questioned by Christopher DeCoste. I think it's in Katie's second trial. And Christopher DeCoste asks him, he says, and this bar, this flashy bar, this Miami bar, it's not a bar with just one man sitting at the end of the bar having a drink, is it, sir? And the guy says, we have plenty of nights like that, and then laughs to himself, but it just goes on for way too long. He's cracked up at his own joke in this really intense murder trial. And even the Judge Wheeler, cracks a smile, man. He thought it was funny as well. It's this really nice moment. There's comedy in this trial as well, guys. As sad as it all is, and as horrifying as it all is, there are funny moments. We have plenty of nights.
This Mascara worked at the lower end club. Did the checks bounce there as well?
No, we never received checks in that club.
All right. And do you have any documentation to show that you were, like schedules or something like that to show your schedule around the time of the homicide at these clubs?
Objection, burden.
Carrie B says, Charlie was so casual and sloppy about paying Katie. Can't you just hear him saying, what? You're my assistant. They have to be able to prove things in court, Katie. It's fine. Yeah, right? I mean, why the hell would you pay her from the Adelson Institute? She's the baby mama of the guy that killed your problem up north, and I'm pretty certain that the Adelsons had a bunch of holding companies where they'd reroute money through for tax purposes and property purchases and all sorts of stuff like that. They probably got a business registered in northern Montana. Why not put it through there or put it through a third party? You're paying her from the Adelson Institute, so her bank statements say money received from the Adelson Institute. Crazy. Nuts.
Overruled.
I mean, I should have had it in my texts. Like sometimes like they give us a schedule or they'll call us and tell us, okay, can you come in this and this date? Or we would be, for that weekend, we would already know more or less what days to come in.
Okay. And who was your boss at that time?
I can't even remember his name because he got fired.
All right. Is he here? Is he in Tallahassee for this trial?
No,
What about any girls that you worked with? Anybody like
I
that?
don't remember their
here?
names, no. This
Any
was
regular
years ago.
customers?
No.
Yeah, that was so funny, Carrie B, when Donna was writing on her iPad or something, notes about my cousin Vinny, going, oh my God, exactly the same. There was a car, the same car, tire tracks, 2 different tire tracks, witnesses testify. What the hell was that about? What has that got to do with this case? My cousin Vinny? But if you didn't know this, guys, my cousin Vinny is said to be one of the greatest courtroom drama movies of all time. I believe it's actually shown to first-year law students in reputable law schools to say, look, this is the procedure of court. My cousin Vinny. Yeah, I think it's a great film. Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei, Ralph Macchio. What's not to like about that? Herman Munster. He's a great judge, isn't he? What a great judge. But, my cousin Vinny was not filmed in Alabama. It was set in Alabama, but was actually filmed in southern Georgia, which, is practically Tallahassee.
Would you agree, Ms. Magbanua, that you deposited $13,000 in cash in August of 2014?
If that's what my bank records show,
Okay, and that's the month after the murder, right?
I believe so.
Okay. You can't make that much at the club, can you?
The $13,000?
Yeah.
unless I've saved up and then I just deposited it that month.
Okay, is that what happened?
But that all my income wasn't specifically from there. It was, there's times that I've gotten money from Secreto.
All right, well, is it a coincidence, Ms. Magbanua, that when you notice the striking spike in your income that happens exactly at the time of this homicide? Don't you? I mean, it's there, isn't it?
Well, in your diagram, yes,
Yeah, but I mean, do you have a reason to dispute this diagram?
it
It's
just,
based on your cash deposits, isn't it?
I guess so.
All right, and so you would agree that there is a pretty striking amount of money that came
Hi, Kim. Don't let us keep you up, okay? If you need to sleep, you go to sleep. You catch the replay tomorrow, no problem. We're not offended.
in, that you came into immediately after this homicide.
From your diagram, I could see that, but I don't recall that.
When did Sigfredo Garcia find out that Charlie Adelson was involved in this conspiracy?
When did he find out?
Yeah.
I believe when he got arrested.
What about when you came home after meeting with Charlie Adelson at Dolce Vita? Did you tell Mr. Garcia that you'd met with Mr. Adelson?
I don't know about the time frame again. I don't know if when I came home, I said that I spoke to Charlie.
Would you agree in the calls and texts that follow that meeting with Mr. Adelson, Mr. Garcia is really angry with you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And he said in that text,
I know, right, Rabbit? I mean, even in, like, Manhattan, you could go out drinking Cristal. You know, two or three, 4 bottles of Cristal, and the bill is only going to be $1,800. What are you going to tip $1,500 on top of that? Don't think so.
text that we listened to recently, or somebody read from the stand, whatever is going on with you and your homie is your business. You guys work that shit out. Don't text me. Who's your homie in that sentence?
I believe he was referring to Charlie.
Right. And he was angry to find out that Charlie was involved, wasn't he?
I believe so, yes.
Charlie told you he wanted this problem flushed. You were asked about that call on direct.
Yes, ma'am.
And was the problem the gang member who was threatening to extort his mother?
I know he was just joking about that on that phone call, but I think it's because I used the restroom and then he referred to it as the problem flushing, and because he was really talking to Yindra on the phone first.
Right, and I got the whole reference to the bathroom humor, but the problem that he's referring to that he wants flushed is this guy that's extorting his mother, right?
I believe so.
All right. And flushed means he wants the problem resolved.
I would assume,
And you're the one to do it.
I guess.
Is Mr. Garcia?
Teresa asks if the Adelsons had a laundrette or laundromat. No. One of the buildings that they owned had several coin-operated washing machines, dryers in the, like a little washing laundry room or something. And Katie would have to go and empty the coins. There's something funny about that. The glitz and glamour of the thing, Katie. Yeah, could you go and pick up all the quarters from the tumble dryer, Katie, in your Mazda? Or take the Lexus. Yeah, go and get us all the quarters from the tumble dryer, Katie.
Familiar with handguns?
Is he familiar with
Objection,
that?
Judge. Overruled.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess so.
Have you seen the ATM images
Yes, I
that are in
have.
evidence in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is that Mr. Rivera and Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia dumped his phone right after this murder, didn't he? Shortly after.
We don't have any serial killers in Beecham County. What we do have is every bit of a sophisticated system of justice they have in the rest of the country. You being from New York and all might think that law is practiced with a certain degree of informality down here. It isn't. Now, I tell you this because I want you to know. When you come into my courtroom, you ought to know the letter of the law. I react harshly when you don't. Don't think coming from New York you're going to get special treatment. You won't. You'll be given no leeway whatsoever.
I guess so.
I mean, you were blowing him up and couldn't get him because the phone was off, right?
I believe so.
Do you have WhatsApp, or I should ask, back in 2014, did you have WhatsApp on your phone?
I think so.
All right. And what is WhatsApp?
It's just another like instant message.
All right. Did you hear the testimony about Wendy Adelson having visited the crime scene?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Miss Adelson communicate with you through WhatsApp or any other type of communication
No,
the
ma'am.
day of the murder?
No, ma'am.
Did Charlie Adelson let you know in any WhatsApp or any other kind of way that Mr. Markel had been shot on the day of the murder? Did you tell Yendra Mascara that Mr. Markel had been in a car accident?
I said an accident. I'm not 100% sure if I said car accident.
Do you have any reason to question her memory that you said car accident?
No.
Did you talk to Luis Rivera on the day of the money drop?
Did I talk to him? I believe he called me.
Okay.
Yeah, he called my phone.
And so is that a coincidence that the one time, and that's the one time you've ever spoken to Mr. Rivera on the phone, right? From all the records that we have in this case. Do you agree with that?
I don't know if I've spoken to him at any other time, not that I can recall.
Okay. And when did you find out that Dan Markel had been murdered?
I found out when he got arrested, when Sigfredo got arrested.
All right, so your lawyer asked you, can't remember exactly what she asked you, but the gist of it was, wouldn't you dump your phone if you'd been involved in criminal activity?
Yes, ma'am.
And isn't it true that you did, in fact, drop your phone, not the day that you're saying you found out Dan Markel was killed, but the day that law enforcement went up to see Mr. Garcia at Rapid Capital?
No, I still had the same phone.
Okay, but you weren't using it. It was turned off, right?
No, I was still using my
You
phone.
didn't go to Walmart and purchase a burner phone?
Sigfredo purchased that.
Yeah, but you went with him, didn't you?
At that day, yes, I believe so.
Okay. And you both got new phones that day.
Yes.
And that was the same day that law enforcement came to your residence and went to Rapid Capital, same day, same time.
I think that was the following day.
The following day's the day you got arrested, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it was the
Yeah, they love raising the rent, Albert, these Adelsons. The mentor lawyer showed the raising of the rents of their apartments, and it was going up from like $1,050 to $1,475 a month. That is an increase, isn't it? I mean, that is a big step. That is a big difference to your monthly outgoings for a regular family. Most of the names were Hispanic on the list, all in one building. So can we infer that that's low-income housing? I don't know, but that is a huge step. It's supposed to go up in increments, not huge, decisive chunks. That's like a 30% increase. Crazy. I bet they're real slum landlords as well, you know. Won't fix anything.
day that law enforcement came to your residence.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it true that you've been offered some kind of big payoff if you refuse to cooperate against Charlie Adelson?
If I refuse?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Has anybody offered you some money?
No.
Do you remember telling anybody that you would be able to stay home after you get acquitted and have a tutor for your kids to be homeschooled at the house?
No. Never made that comment.
Did you ever show your breast to some people and tell them that you got them courtesy of the professor?
Definitely never happened.
Did you ask somebody if she thought God would forgive you for the role you had in this case?
No.
You indicated, and we saw the picture of you after your breast enhancement, And the testimony was that your tips, with a P, increased after breast surgery.
Hey, I love this T Cancella. Check this, guys, on the screen. T Cancella has shown us all the trial emojis. We've got an owl, a giraffe, it looks like. When was the giraffe? I can't say I remember a giraffe. A puzzle piece, a big molar tooth, a scale. What is that one? What is that, like, black sunshine? A speedboat and a race car, a go-kart. Fantastic. Love that. I'm going to screenshot that. That's brilliant.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. And if you look on this chart of your cash
Norma C, good to see you, babe.
deposits, the breast surgery occurred in October of 2014, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here,
Yes, ma'am.
you seem confused about when exactly your relationship with Mr. Adelson ended. I thought on direct you indicated that he faded into the background around the time that Mr. Markel was killed. Is that your testimony or not?
I mean, I guess I didn't realize it until now, like the whole him, as Ms. Coas was saying about the ghosting me. I didn't realize that until now. Like,
But does that sound
That he
like the right
was.
time frame that occurred?
I believe so.
All right, and you talked about the media attention on this case and how the media reports, basically you were able to read those after Mr. Garcia's arrest. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
right? But the media reports were present before his arrest as well, right?
I wasn't aware of any media reports before Secreto was arrested.
Yeah.
No.
Even around the time of his homicide, there was reports coming out that indicated that there may be some connection to the South Florida.
I wasn't aware of it.
Okay. And you asked if you knew you were being recorded on the wire, and your answer was no, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked if you, I guess, would have changed the way you spoke on some of those calls if you had known you were being recorded. Is that an accurate summation of your testimony?
I wouldn't have used the phone at all.
Okay. But your particular...
Yeah, T Cancella. I love this this story of Katie showing her breasts, lifting her shirt, showing her breasts, and saying, "These are courtesy of the professor." I think courtesy of the professor should be some kind of catchphrase for this channel or something. You know, it's another one of those phrases from this case that I haven't started yet, but I think I want to start using in my daily life. Like Rashbaum's, did you call the police? Oh man, so many mugs we can sell. We have started playing around with some mugs, guys. We're going to be getting onto t-shirts soon enough, so watch out for that merch store. It's actually, I think there's going to be some really winning stuff that we're going to produce. It's fun to play with. Anyway, remember to like the video, guys. Leave a share. No, leave a like, make a share, comment. You know, YouTube things. Do the YouTube things.
Particularly embarrassed about your language on one of those calls, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I understood your testimony to be you would not have spoken that way if you'd known you were being recorded.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you learn you were being recorded?
I honestly didn't think I was ever being recorded.
Okay, so you didn't learn that the same day that you dumped the phones?
I never dumped the phone. I
Okay,
still
but
had
you-
my
Well spotted, Leslie. When I was little, I wanted to be a giraffe. Ah, shoot her now.
phone.
Stopped using one phone and then you went up on another phone.
I never stopped using that phone. I still had my other phone.
Okay, well, I'm not disputing that you still had it,
Mhm.
but there were no more calls after the day that the intervention at Rapid Capital, the interview of Mr. Garcia and the attempted interview of you occurred.
I was still using my phone, the iPhone I've always had since I still kept using that phone.
Okay.
The other phone that Sigfredo had bought, we were talking on that because obviously law enforcement came to go see him, so he felt like he had to use another phone to speak to me.
Okay, but your testimony is you were still using the iPhone same as always, with the exception of your communication with Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
I want to ask you about the call. It's labeled.
Wow, everybody remembered that giraffe thing but me. There's like 50 comments saying, Wendy wanted to be a giraffe. Yeah, I remember now, guys. Did it get brought up in trial?
PP, Paul.
Yes, ma'am.
You told Charlie Adelson that you left a really nasty message on the bump person's phone number. Do you remember that? And you went into detail about what the message was.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and that was a lie, wasn't it?
That I left a nasty message?
Yeah.
I believe Sigfredo was the one who left a nasty message. I might have just said that I did it.
Okay, but it would have been a lie if you said that you did it, because it wasn't you.
Yes, ma'am.
And in fact, Mr. Garcia didn't do it either, did he?
To my acknowledgement, I don't think so.
Right, but he told you he did.
Yes, ma'am.
So he's lying to you, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
You're lying to Charlie,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Why were you talking in code on the wire?
Well, it's because I said that I'm.
Yeah, Rabbit. Kosher style. That's definitely going to be a big theme for our t-shirts. We've got some great designs coming out there, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Keep your eye on the merch shop. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all great places to stay in touch. Link in the description.
Either working, I'm at work, or I'm around my kids.
Okay, and what does the code mean? What's it code for?
What is the code for what?
Why do you need a code?
I mean,
Code
because
implies
he's
that
talking about somebody, you know, that specific number.
there's-
And then he was talking about, you know, like trying to find out who is trying to contact his mom or trying to extort money from his mom. So every time that I would speak to him, I would just talk to, if like Yindra is next to me, I'm not going to tell him like, oh, remember what we were talking about or whatever. And my conversation wasn't going to be like that around other people.
All right, so for example, when you spoke to Mr. Garcia, you told him that Ethan's clothes would cost $65.70. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
And 6570 was the last four digits of that phone number, right?
Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
And so was this an example of the type of code that you used?
I guess.
And are you telling the jury that that was needed to protect your child?
She's trying to, like, Sigfredo's obviously just high as fuck on coke and drunk, and she's like trying to get him to call the number, and she says, you remember those clothes you had to get for Ethan? You know, there was $65.70. Stupid. You see, that's what happens when idiots try to speak in code on the wire. How obvious is that?
Children or your coworkers in some way?
Well, yeah, because I'm not disclosing any numbers around anybody else. Not
Okay.
saying a phone number out loud.
1 moment, please, John.
But
Man, I think that excuse was actually worse than Charlie's entire defense. Yeah, I didn't want to say a phone number out loud because people get suspicious when I say, you know, 9-digit numbers in one chunk. So I made up this story about Ethan's clothes costing $75.70 or whatever it was.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Wow, my God, these emoticons are, I think maybe every single emoticon has a place in this story, right, guys? It just goes on and on. I'm going to have to go through each emoticon on the, you know, on WhatsApp or whatever, you know, where they have them all in the big list, and just make a note next to each one, because I think every single one could apply to this case. Crazy.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? Set up something.
Yeah, Matt. Mentor lawyer sure came out with the goods with that one, didn't he? I wonder how much that cost him. He kept saying that it was quite a large amount of money. I wonder how much that costs, because, you know, the reason it costs so much is because someone has to go through what they're going to send him and redact anything that would be, you know, inappropriate to release, which must be quite a big job for multiple people, I should think, you know. So it probably wasn't cheap, but I wonder what the number was.
Ms. Magbanua,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Cappleman brought up discovery with you
Yes,
and
ma'am.
how many opportunities you've had to review it.
Yes, ma'am.
Have I been your lawyer since the beginning of the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Where am I based out of?
Miami.
Okay. Do you remember how many times over the course of
Do I have an office next to the Adelson Institute? Yes.
the 3 years have I been able to come and visit you at the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Those were the times that we were able to go over the discovery that I had at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
And we spoke a lot on the phone, right?
Yes, on the phone, yes.
But we couldn't talk about discovery. Why?
Hey, Norma C, that sounds like a great idea. Good idea. Let's get that going.
The phones are monitored.
And they're recorded, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
When your case was recently set for trial in June, you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Of which year?
Of this year.
Of this year, yes.
And then all of a sudden, we had to move the case. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember why that was?
Because you were going through your chemo.
This year.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, black.
You see, that was really inappropriate, wasn't it? Because you were going through your chemo. Well, thank you for bringing that up in front of millions of people on this televised redirect examination. She's so clueless.
Monitored.
And they're recorded, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
When your case was recently set for trial in June, you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Of which year?
Of this year.
Of this year, yes.
And then all of a sudden, we had to move the case. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember why that was?
Because you were going through your chemo.
This year.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, last year. I
I know.
it's been rescheduled so many times. I don't know.
Let me redirect you.
Okay.
Was there a point this year where for the first time ever, the state cracked into your phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And then they downloaded everything off of the 1312 number,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
How long have they had that phone?
Since I got arrested.
Okay, but we didn't get any of that information until now, right?
Objection, Your Honor, improper question.
K-turn, Kerry B. I'm writing that down. That's got to be a mug. I've got an idea for a mug. K-turn mug. Who says that? K-turn. It's 3-point turn. Am I right?
Your Honor, they opened the door.
I'll overrule it.
So we only had an opportunity to review those contents recently.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to review all of the contents of Charlie's iCloud?
I believe they've had everything of Charlie's iCloud.
Have many attempts been made to mail you their paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the first time you were able to receive it?
About a couple weeks ago, probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay. But we did go over extensively. You and I discussed the facts of your case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did I ever tell you to lie in front of the jury?
No, ma'am.
Did I explain to you what your obligations are in front of this jury when you take an oath to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And I explained to you what would happen if you lied on the stand, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I also explained to you that I couldn't allow you to take the stand and lie.
Objection, Your Honor. This is all
Sustained.
improper.
Okay, now let's go to the Dolce Vita video. You remember that phone call that they played with Charlie, where Charlie is giving some explanation about his jet skis, and that his jet ski had been stolen,
Yes, ma'am.
and the reason why he wouldn't want to call the cops on someone like that is because he's afraid they're going to come back and hurt his
After
family.
him.
You remember that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound like one of the scenarios he was telling you at Dolce Vita?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the state brought up these statements that they claim are in that Dolce Vita video, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Those statements aren't there, are they?
No, they're not.
And the jury will be able to listen for themselves, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But all of those statements, or those statements that aren't there, that was leaked to the media, right?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Was it leaked to the media?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the state was cross-examining you on the fact that they don't believe that you were working for the Adelsons.
But they don't believe that I was. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, T. Cancella. I'm English. I live in Portugal and I'm coming to Tallahassee. And thanks for your comment. You're more than welcome, my friend.
You've listened to your wiretaps, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've testified previously before you were cross-examined that you did work there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When was the bump?
I believe on April 20th
April 19th?
or 19th.
Okay. Do you remember a phone call that occurred on April 14th between you and Charlie?
I can't recall right now.
Okay, but would it be fair to say that the wiretap is a fair and accurate recording of you and Charlie on that date?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to play a portion where they are talking about their work, since the state cross-examined her on that.
Do you have an exhibit number?
Your Honor, I'm just offering it for impeachment purposes. I'm not sorry, not impeachment, but for rehabilitation purposes. So it's not going back to the jury, it's just to play as if I were
No, it's
rehabilitating.
not in evidence. I'm not allowing it. No.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Norma C says, I think her brains are too tight. Yeah, that must be it. I think you mean braids, right, Norma? But yeah, that's affecting her brain. She's got tight brain. That's why she's so dumb on the stand. Oh, she's just got this sort of gomless. She thinks if she lack of recognition is her big tactic, right? It's like, if I look like I don't understand the question and don't know what's going on at all and can't remember anything, how would I have been involved in the murder?
Right.
It's not a good tactic. It's not a good tactic at all. Tight brain doesn't work on the stand, guys. If you're ever in this position, hope you're not, but if you ever find yourself on the stand in your own murder trial, avoid tight brain at all costs.
Ms. Magbanua, what am I showing you right now?
Like, at least like when,
Sorry.
I'm showing you what has been pre-marked as defense exhibit number 26. What does this look like?
A CD.
Okay.
She's really put some weight on as well in prison, hasn't she? I mean, everybody seems to a bit, apart from Luis Rivera in his latest trial, he really lost some weight. He looks like a completely different person. But you don't notice it so much head on. But Katie Magbanua on the side face here, real bit of chub there, Katie, huh? Too many rounds of kaplunk, Katie. You need to get in the yard, Katie.
Does it have your name on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it have your case number on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what are the numbers that are right here?
899-519-520.
Okay. Do you know where we got this CD from?
No.
Okay. Did we get it from the state's attorney's office?
Yes.
And as I stated before, this has a recording of your phone call that is a fair and accurate representation of your conversation with Charlie Adelson, right?
Yes.
Hey, is that actually Fancy Fiction? Hi, Fancy. I've never seen you in the chat before. Welcome. Welcome. It's been a long time coming. How you doing?
And you didn't know you were being recorded at that time?
No, ma'am.
All right, this time I would like to move into evidence that's been previously marked as defense exhibit 26.
So, objection.
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Let's let the jury step out, please.
And I agree with your point, Fancy. I'll just read it out, that Katie's biggest mistake behind the murder was attaching herself to this lawyer, Tariq Awas. Right. You know, I think Christopher DeCoste's was much better. If it had just been him on his own and him doing the prep work with Katie and the coaching and all of that stuff, I think it could have been a completely different trial. Yeah, the first time I saw Tariq Awas, I was quite impressed. I was like, "Oh, this is refreshing." Partly because I was just so taken in by her Jamaican accent, but now I look at her a little later in the story, and it's terrible. It's going to be interesting to see her on the stand in Donna's trial if that happens, though.
Everybody be seated. Let me hear the portion you're wanting to flash.
They gonna work with the PA system here.
Frozen shit.
Right, I just want to make sure you don't stop working for us.
No, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna still work for you. Like,
Alright,
I'm,
yeah,
like, I'm getting paid
I
nothing.
fucking worried for a second there. You're doing such a good job.
I'm not kidding.
Alright, thank you. Alright, now you can tell.
I'm
My
not
heart
leaving anywhere.
was in my mouth. I'm not young. I can't take.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, oh, since you're like, until you the money, you've been working for us for like a year and a couple months now. Like, you're gonna raise me. They did not.
Is that it?
That's it, Judge. It's just the part where he says, "Are you going to stop working for us now?" And she said, "No." And she said, "I've been working for you for over a year now." It's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It is offered for a prior consistent statement because the state impeached her credibility when they cross-examined her.
This subject of the Adelsons paying for Katie Magbanua's trial attorneys, you know, how do you think that conversation went between the Adelsons and the legal team, Tariq Awas and Christopher DeCoste? You know, because if they paid, their primary objective is to protect themselves. Now, if they can get Katie off the charges, that would protect them a bit. But I think that there's also possibly a tactic of saying, well, if she goes down, still keep protecting us, because they seem to, I can't really think of any examples off the top of my head. I guess we'll find them as we go. There's more of them in her second trial, but there's certain ways of they ask questions and certain ways in the closing arguments where they seem to be almost throwing Katie under the bus in a way, I can't remember the example off the top of my head, but I wrote them down somewhere. There's at least two that I saw where it was like, what are you doing? You're not acting on the best interests of your client, or maybe you are because your client is really Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson. Very shady. There's something, it smells unethical. That's all I'm going to say. And we'll see where we'll find these points and come back to them for discussion later, guys.
Cappleman.
Judge, I don't recall offering any prior inconsistent statements on that point. I thought the witness and I agreed that she and Charlie did joke about her employment at the Adelson Institute.
And Ms. Cappleman implied that she doesn't work there. This is evidence that supports her contention. It's a prior.
Absolutely, Fancy. You know, that's what we're doing. We're coming to Tallahassee. I don't know if I'm going to make it for Donna's trial. There's a 48% chance that I can make it for Donna's trial. It's just under 2 months away. But if not, there should be plenty of time to get that sorted for Wendy's trial, whenever that will be. You know, it's going to be great. I can't wait to walk around Tallahassee. I want to go to Red Eye Coffee. I want to go to Voodoo Coffee. I want to go to Monroe and Thomasville Road, you know, and yeah, it's going to be great.
Consistent statement. This was before the wiretap. So, I mean, before the bump. So there should be no indication that anybody knows that they're being recorded.
But she said she didn't work there.
No, she said
Her testimony today has been that she did not work there. She was a personal assistant for him and didn't work at the Adelson Institute. That's been her testimony today.
But they're suggesting through their cross-examination, Judge, that she didn't do any work for Charlie. And that's been their theme since day one, that this is payment for a murder.
In time, it says still work for you.
And the statement says, I still work for you.
I'll allow that portion of it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If we have any other issues we need to resolve while the jury's out.
I can play all three cards.
Yeah, I still work for you. I went to pick up all the quarters from the laundromat once, and I was planning to do it again at some point. What?
Your Honor, there is another call that I would like to play, which is going to be that she references to Charlie Adelson that she paid for the Lexus.
That she what?
She did in fact pay $2,500 for the Lexus. I'm not sure if that's the correct amount that's in the recording, but she does reference an amount and how much she paid for it.
For what?
For the Lexus that the state says she didn't pay for.
Your Honor, 1 second play.
Hey, calm down in the comments, guys. Yes, I am excited that Fancy Fiction has joined us in the chat, but we don't want to tell her that, okay? Play it cool. Play it cool. She's just like anyone else, right?
Island Dorada. Isla Morada. Isla Morada, the Purple Island. Carmen, your fetus is sucio. Listen, you let me know.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay, I think they wrap up this section.
We can come back to that one. I can go to the
But
next
there's
one.
a little more, guys. There's part 5.
That's a call, Your Honor.
And that's the only portion, Judge, where she just said I had to
All
buy the
right,
car.
so you're claiming a prior consistent statement as well?
Thank you, Judge. Now, Ms. Magbanua, the phone calls that were played in this courtroom, those are not all the phone calls, right?
No,
They're only bits and pieces of phone calls, right?
yes, ma'am.
Now,
You know, I used to be a cameraman, guys, and I didn't film courtrooms, but pretty similar format, subject of filming. And so I'm always watching the skills of the cameraman. and they're panning and they're zooming, and it has really evolved over time. You know, come to Charlie Adelson's trial, and the camera work is pretty good. We've got multiple angles now. We've got cuts. There's a vision mixer at the back or something going on. You know, but these early ones, it's rough. They start to fall asleep, and the camera kind of nods at times. It's rough. It's rough.
Ms. Cappleman got up here and was trying to ask you what Charlie meant by flushing the problem, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave a guess of what
Yes,
you
ma'am.
thought it was. And that's because you are not Charlie Adelson, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The only person who would know what that is,
Charlie.
have you seen Charlie in this courtroom today?
Nope.
He hasn't been charged, has he?
Nope.
And no one's questioned him to ask him what he meant.
No.
Okay.
When's the last time you spoke to Charlie Adelson?
2016.
Would it be the last recorded phone call that before Sigfredo was arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Ms. Cappleman was saying that you stopped using your phone around May of 2016, but that's not true, right?
No.
The person you stopped calling was who?
Sigfredo.
Hey,
No, the person you, well,
hey, Addie's a known. Okay, now we have to get our map out, guys. Where is our fantastic map of of True Crime Metrix, United States domination? How are we doing on the map? Because I think we need West Virginia. 1 second, guys. Okay, there we go. Yes, we need West Virginia. So when are you heading there, Addie? Sometime soon, right? And that's where you're from, so that counts. Okay, great. Confirm with you when you arrive, Addie Zanone, and we will color your state in red. Look at that map, guys. Truly an achievement. We're spreading like a virus.
he was in jail. But the
Yeah.
person that you stopped calling Charlie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was that because of everything that was leaked in the media?
Yes, ma'am.
Sustained.
Why did you stop talking to Charlie?
Well, that was everything was out in the media. They were looking to arrest him.
But you continued using that phone.
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, you and I even communicated on that phone before you were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
You also used it to communicate with your mom,
Yes, ma'am.
with your brother.
Yes, ma'am.
You never stopped using that phone.
Never stopped using that phone.
And to this day, the government has it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, lifting up your shirt, if you had ever done anything like that.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I want to actually go into a little background because, you know what we're talking about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What pod are you in at the Leon County Jail?
Currently now I'm in Pod Nancy, but before I was in Pod Mary, which is a confinement pod.
And what does that mean?
We are confined almost 18 to 20 hours a day
Why were you placed in that pod?
because of my charge.
I'm sorry, she already answered.
Now, this statement is that this incident that she's referring to about you lifting up your shirt in front of all these other inmates.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know where that is coming from, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is that coming from?
From Brenda Ward.
Who is Brenda Ward?
Brenda Ward's an inmate in Leon County.
And she at some point was in jail at the same time that you were, right?
Well, she's been in and out of jail a couple times since I've been there
Do you know why she was in and out of jail?
because she keeps getting new charges.
What kind of charges?
Methamphetamine, I believe.
Okay. And to your knowledge, is the government cut a deal with her to testify against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there also another inmate that they've done the same thing to?
Yes, ma'am.
What's her name?
Amy Manka.
Okay. Describe what Amy Mankel looks like.
She's very skinny. Half her hair is shaved off.
And everyone in the pod is aware of.
Yeah, Fancy, I agree with you. The Coast came in way too late. I mean, if you didn't know, I'm would I call myself a fan? I don't know. I do like the way the Coast's style, and I think he's way more effective at putting points across to the jury, which isn't hard to beat Tara Kawas in this case, because her points are 0. But I didn't know when he came in at all. And Tara Kawas's whole tactic is sort of like, oh, look, we're close, and we're women, and we're friendly, and this isn't the time or the place for that. Christopher DeCoste is much more cutthroat, much more direct, much more refreshing to watch. Tara Kawas is the worst thing of this case. Both of these trials, Katie's trials, terrible.
Who you are, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Should be interesting to see her in what is it? Courtney Clenny, is that it? The OnlyFans model, the nut job, the stabber, the boyfriend stabber.
Okay, because you're on the news all the time.
All the time.
And Miss Manka at some point was what we call a bunkie of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean?
She was in the same room as me in Pod Mary, but this was in 2016.
Okay. Very recently this year,
Yes, true. Rabbit, lunch with Shadrick Nobles, believe it. It's happening. I'm going to buy him any lunch he wants. His whole team, his whole trash collecting team. Lunch on me. Let's go.
you come into any information that Miss Manko was trying to get information from you about her case?
Yes, ma'am.
Before she was even listed at a...
But of course, we'll all have to drive down to Miami if we want anything decent. Sushi or pizza. There are only 2 options, sushi and pizza. And you can't get either of those things in Tallahassee. Miami, here we come.
Witness, who did you tell about her?
I told you.
Okay. And so you knew what was coming?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever admitted anything to Amy Manka before?
No.
Okay. That's because you have nothing to admit, right?
Exactly.
Have you ever lifted up your shirt and exposed your breasts to everybody in the pod?
No.
Okay. And had you done so, she would have been able to accurately describe your breasts.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
Leslie asks, so would Tara Kawas testify as to who paid her? Well, I'm not 100% whether she'd be allowed to without Katie waiving attorney-client privilege. Would that fall under that? Which she may very well do. I think Katie wants to do everything she can to score as many points with the DA as possible, to maybe get her life sentence reduced down to 35 years or whatever. But would Tara Kawas testify as to who paid her? Well, it seems like that's why she's on the state's list, right? Why else would she be there at Donna's trial? They're there to prove Donna's role in participation. It's not like Tara Kawas would know anything else about that. I guess we'll find out.
Jason Newland came to her.
Yes, ma'am.
And then after they spoke with her, wasn't she released from jail?
Yes.
The next time you saw her was when?
2 weeks later, she got rearrested because she cut off her ankle monitor and was high.
And when she was brought into the unit again, did you observe her?
Yes, ma'am.
And was she strung out on meth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ryan B., it's 3303 Accra Ridge Way.
I actually advised you right away, which is the reason I think she got moved to another pod.
You were actually on the phone with me when they brought her
Yes,
in.
ma'am. I called you right away.
Now, the state asked you about whether or not the Adelsons have put money aside for you in payment for your silence. I guess that's what they were implying.
Put money aside for me?
Are you aware of the Adelsons putting aside any money for you?
No, I've been incarcerated for 3 years.
How much debt has your family gone into because you have been incarcerated?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Severely. It's damaged my whole family.
For example, how much is a phone call in jail?
A phone call, since my phone calls are long distance, since I live in.
Oh, you made the Justice for Dan website fancy. That's funny, isn't it? We were just talking about that. Did I say anything mean about it? I didn't mean to. Okay, but maybe you can tell us, Fancy, because we did a 10-year special on the anniversary of Dan's death, and all the donations that we collected during that stream, I want to put to, something Justice for Dan, some foundation that's working for justice. And I was looking for something online where I could donate the money, but I couldn't find anything that I was sure was legitimate. So if you know anything where we can put some cash for the Justice for Dan movement, Fancy, let us know in the comments, please. Thank you so much.
In Miami, it's a 15-minute phone call can be like around almost $4.
Okay. And talk to the jury and explain to them what commissary is.
I sustain the objection at this point.
Okay. There has been no promises made to you of money in order for your testimony today, right?
No, ma'am.
In fact, you also just testified that you think Charlie Adelson is behind this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could they pay you any amount of money to keep you away from your children?
Never.
And you have been aware from the beginning who they want.
Yes, ma'am.
Why won't you just lie and tell them that Charlie was a part of this?
I wish I could, because I wouldn't be incarcerated and I'd be free and I'd be with my children.
And why haven't you done that?
Because I'm telling the truth.
And I want you to look at this jury and explain to them, is your testimony today truthful?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection.
Sustain.
Move to strike.
Jury disregard.
Have you ever told me anything inconsistent to what you testified to today?
Objection.
Sustain.
Oh, actually, a few more things. Now, Miss Magbanua, did something happen while you were incarcerated to your family?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you miss?
My mom.
Objection, relevance.
Sustain.
Will you ever be able to see your mother again?
Objection.
Go on.
Yes, Your Honor.
Move on.
Pardon me?
You done?
Carrie B, shut up. She's left the chat, but she could still be listening on headphones.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, have a seat, please. There was a question and comment about not all calls being in evidence. I want to make sure a jury doesn't misconstrue that. There are various legal reasons that many of the, I'm sorry, you can go ahead and sit down, Ms. Magbanua. There are various legal reasons why a lot of the calls are not in evidence. You should not assume there's anything sinister or anybody's done anything wrong of why all calls are not in evidence. They're not all legally admissible. And if they're not legally admissible, they don't go into evidence. So don't want you.
Yeah, Rabbit says, Katie says there's no amount of money the Adelsons could pay you to be away from her children. It was Katie's share of the $137,000 checks from Donna, a used Lexus, plus 1 breast. Don't forget the Mazda repairs. Come on. Who doesn't love Mazda repairs? You know, let me tell you, this is Sophie's choice, because it's, on the one hand, you've got seeing your kids, watching them grow, teaching them about life and, you know, all that stuff the future brings. And on the other hand, you've got Mazda repairs. Okay. So that's a thinker. And I guess you never know what you would choose until you're in that position. So Mazda repairs, very tempting.
You misconstrued that statement. Your next witness.
If we can have a brief moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot again. Raise your hand. Are there questions from the jury? All right, but just one. All right. Resume the stand, Ms. Magbanua, because I'm getting old, I forget things. Couple of follow-up questions from the jury, Ms. Magbanua.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us any more specific information on the promotions you were talking about, like dates and locations and companies?
Hey, thanks so much for the super sticker, Hildy. If anyone would like to support the channel, guys, we've got super sticker, super like, super thanks, super chat, and buy me a coffee link.com in the description for the video, along with our social networks: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord, guys. Discord is really blowing up at the moment, guys. Messages, community building, everything's going on in Discord. Fantastic, guys. Remember to leave a like on the video. Remember to like the video and mark the fucking calendar, because today is the day that Fancy Fiction showed up in the chat. How about that, guys? We knew we'd get there. You can't keep these people away forever. What are we doing now? We've got the judge up here. Is anything going on? Are there jury questions?
Is anything more specific you can tell us about those promotions?
When I was working for promotions, as far as for the liquor promotions, I would travel all around Miami up to Broward, and then different liquor stores, and then give them samples of the liquor that we're promoting. And different, we also did like different events.
Can you imagine if she was promoting Bullet Bourbon? That wouldn't surprise me at all in this case. I don't think anything surprises me in this case anymore, guys.
And parties for certain liquor companies as well.
Can you name any of the liquor stores or companies?
Well, we did one for Chivas. There's one for Jameson. There's one for Absolute. And then I was managing the picture that you guys saw, Stout. We had them in different convenience stores. And then we also did events for that company. And I had like about 13 to 14 girls under me, like managing them, and I would send them out to different locations as well.
And were products sold to customers at these events?
Yes, sir. Since we're promoting these different types of liquor, usually we'd have like some deal, like a 2-for-1 or like a gift set that goes with the promotion.
Did you report to?
Yeah, people that buy TUFAs always tip $1,500, don't they? Money savers. They have to save all their money for their big tips, right? So they have to get 2-for-1s. I know, Rabbit. What a milestone that was. Fuck 1,000 subscribers. I mean, no. All you guys are very important. But I mean, for me, you know, reaching that milestone was fantastic. But this was a new level of milestone, guys. We brought Fancy in. How about that? And not only that, it was her that made the website that we were looking at earlier. How crazy is that? It's almost like an Adelson case coincidence. Is there an owl in here? Where's the owl? Imagine Katie as your manager. Yeah, totally, right? Yeah, you take the absolute. You take the Jameson. Take Jameson, box of Jameson. Okay, and you take box of absolute vodka. Take it to the bars. Take it to the clubs. Take it to the clubs. What are we doing now, guys? What are we doing now? Are there more questions?
There's a different companies at the promotions or the nightclubs you were working for. How much you received in tips each day? Did you report to the businesses?
Yeah, Matt, she deposited murder money into the bank, but don't be fooled, Matt, because Katie is very clever, right? She went to several different banks at the same day and deposited different amounts in smaller packets of murder money, right? Totally undetectable, totally untraceable. Yes, criminal mastermind Magbanua.
For the promotions, that was back at 2013, I think 2013 to 2014. It's different companies, so it was such, like none of the girls really did it, honestly. Like anything for promotions, we didn't really report.
You did. So
And the clubs especially, because a lot of the girls, we go from different clubs.
we're not worried about what other girls do. We're talking about you. Did you report
I
to
did
the
not.
businesses doing the promotions or the nightclubs the amount of tips you received?
No, we didn't report it.
Why did you not include the tips on your 1040s, your tax returns?
I didn't include the tips on, because they would have taken I would have to pay back a lot of money for it. And it would show that my income would be different, and then I couldn't get the insurance for my kids.
Kind of low on the likes tonight, guys. Only 42. Is it a bad show? Am I losing my touch? I was a little bit intimidated when we had Fancy Fiction in the room, but you know, you know, we'll be back on form. Don't worry, we're getting there.
And did you ever receive food stamps?
I believe when I was pregnant with my daughter, I did.
When was that?
That was in 2012 to 2013.
Follow up, Ms. Kawhi? Can you follow up? I'm sorry, Garcia. Can you follow up? Ms. Cappleman?
No, sir.
All right, you can step down now. Call your next witness. Do you have another witness?
Oh, the defense rescue.
Okay.
Man, look at that tight brain. You know, look at that tight brain. What is that about? How long did that take to do? The hair, the braids. Someone else has to do that for her, right? Can you do that yourself? All the women who know how to do things with hair, can you do that yourself?
All right. We have rebuttal.
Yes, Your Honor, but we would request a short recess.
And is Tara Kawas a hottie? She's not bad. She's no Georgia Cappleman, you know.
Okay. We'll take, how long do you need?
May I have 15 minutes?
What's that?
May I have 15 minutes?
Should we give it 15 minutes? All right, we'll give it 15 minutes. All right.
60.
But I need to say that.
Yeah, Carrie B, we should get on to the Brian Winchester, Denise Williams saga. That's another good. That happened in the very same courtroom with this judge. You know, that witness stand is where Brian Winchester told us everything. And I think he really did, you know. We watched Katie Magbanua come onto the stand and act like she's telling us everything, and she's obviously not. But Brian really put it out there, didn't he? He broke down in that very box. In that very box. What a story. Yes. Denise had a theory that if we left it up to God to decide whether Mike would die, then it wouldn't be our fault. And how did you make that happen, Mr. Williams? Well, I took him out on a boat and then said he had to put his waders on in the boat, which you shouldn't normally do because it's a drowning hazard. And then when he put his waders on, I pushed him into the cold water. And he just easily slid out of the waders and took them off and swam over to a tree stump sticking up out of the water. So I circled the boat round, took out my shotgun, and blew him away in the face. Just, okay, well, so much for leaving it up to God to decide then. Jesus, your best friend. Nuts. And you just sold him $1 million life insurance policy. Wow. Sign here, please. God. But that Denise Williams, though, I don't think she's quite on Wendy's level of psychotic evil bitch, but very close. But she liked Tallahassee. She loved living in Tallahassee with her hardwood floors. What are we doing now, guys? Is there another video? I don't really want to go on to... Tomorrow we'll be starting Katie Magbanua's 2022 testimonies. That's probably going to be a 2-part special. It's a shame we're not going to see Christopher DeCoste. Hey, I don't think Fancy Fiction likes Christopher DeCoste very much. Why is that? What else have we got here, guys? Let's have a look around the YouTubes. See if there's a quick video we can put on to close off for the evening. Should we do Yindra Velasquez Mascaro? Is that interesting? I find it kind of hard to believe that she was so oblivious to anything criminal. You got Luis Rivera running around everywhere with a gun. Look at him. You know. What time are we at, guys? Oh, this is interesting. Rabbit says, True Crime Metrix. Sometimes Fancy makes statements but cannot explain fully, but she is the connected one. She doesn't mean to be cryptic. She has to be. Well, now you're being cryptic, Rabbit. What does that mean? Wow, it's only 8:09 p.m., huh? In good old Texas. What part of Texas are you from, Norma? I think it was Texas, right? Okay, let's... How long is Yindra, though? Because I don't want to do another hour. We're at 2 hours 10 into the stream, guys. Let's have a short look.
Where was she living at that time?
In North Bay Village.
Okay, and what is that?
It's a city in Miami.
And was she living in like a high-rise condo? Or
Yes.
is it more like an apartment?
Yeah, it was an apartment.
And she kicked him out the house?
Yes.
All right. Can you describe for the jury, like, was she finished with him?
Yes.
What was the problem?
It was a tumultuous relationship.
Sustained.
Did you know why she broke up with him?
I've sustained the objection.
So she kicks him out.
Yes.
And who was she then living with at the time?
Her mom.
Her mom?
Yes.
Anyone else?
The kids.
Okay. So that is around the time that she met Charlie Adelson in 2013. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, and I'll do that if I see you nod your head, because it's just for the court reporter to get it down, okay?
You got it.
Okay. Now, was Catherine frustrated with the fact that Sigfredo wasn't helping?
Yes.
All right. And I want to talk now about, because I want to kind of go in chronological order of when you guys were working at the clubs, okay? Now, the state tried to get you to get a specific date of May 2014 is when she broke up. Can you say for certain that that is when that she stopped working at the clubs?
No.
Okay. Are you trying to give an approximation?
Correct.
So at least 12 people in the stream right now have not left a like on the video, guys. Why is that? What's going on, guys? Let's put a like on that video, shall we?
I'm going to give you another event that may jog your memory. You remember when Catherine got her breast augmentation, correct?
Yes.
That was in October of 2014, correct? All right. And we'd know because the records would reflect that.
Yes.
All right. Do you remember if she ever went back to the clubs after getting the breast enhancement?
I don't recall.
If there were pictures on Facebook that would reflect that,
Yes.
it's a good indicator because it shows.
Correct.
All right. Is it fair to say that the breast enhancements, it's a little obvious to tell from the pictures?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that was quick. Now there's only 7 people in the stream right now that have not left a like on the video, guys.
Now, when Sigfredo Garcia was arrested,
Correct.
that was in May of 2016.
Yes.
Okay. They had
I don't know if there's much going on with Yindra, and we seem to have come in halfway through. So I think we'll leave it there for now, guys. Okay, good show, guys. Good show. You know what it was? It was that thumbnail, that fantastic thumbnail that brought Fancy in, right? Good. Well, we'll have to. I think that's the best thing about the show at the moment is the thumbnails. We've got to back it up with dynamite content soon enough, guys. I'm going to have time to prepare actual things to say, because you know me at True Crime Metrix, it's all completely improvised. I don't even watch the videos. I've seen them all before, of course, thousands of times, but I don't have anything that I think, oh, I'm going to talk about this. And we want to start doing that. You know, I think that'll be a good thing for the channel to grow into, because consistency's got to be good, right? Okay. Just have a quick run through these comments. Yindra's house was flooded and lost almost everything. She has a GoFundMe. Really? Wow. Well, that's crazy. Rabbit says, do folks watching on their phone have the option to like? Yeah, of course they do. It's the big button with the thumbs up. How are we doing on the likes, guys? Let's double check before we sign off. Okay, 6 more to go. 6 people in the stream that have not left a like on the video. Oh, that's okay, Kerry. You've had great comments tonight, Kerry. Really enjoy your input. Keep coming back. Here we go. Rabbit says, great to see everyone tonight. Don't miss Mentor Lawyer's video today of documents he got, and also Judy on AA Legal interviewed Yindra today too. Yeah, I think I'm going to go and put those on right now with a little bit of supper at 2 in the morning. Yeah, it's time to cook, Metrix. I tell you, I'm already living on Tallahassee time, guys. Just got to get that plane. Yeah, we've got a good community here, Kerry. I owe it all to the chat, though. You know, it's the chat that really keeps this going. I'm just the I don't know what I am. Okay, see you all later. Love you all. Be kind to each other. Don't be an Adelson, and we'll see you tomorrow. Top of the hour, too sweet to be sour. Good night, all.